Let's welcome Kathy Holly and Spotlight.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Spotlight. Oh, I have some great guests tonight. You will not believe a wonderful project that is exposing children, young and older, to music in the schools. And I'm going to tell you much more about it. I want to introduce my guest. Three guests. Seth Mausner on my left, who's in charge of the Harmony Project San Francisco, and Jerry Pannone, who's a wonderful friend of mine, also affiliated with the project, and a student, Gianni. Yeah. So nice to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah.
And this is all the project. We're going to talk more about it. Music in the schools, as you know, has diminished quite a bit, but thanks to Seth and your wonderful idea, things have progressed. But first of all, let's introduce you to the audience. Tell me, where are you from originally?
Me, I'm from the New York area, Long Island, and I went to music school in New York, to the Juilliard School of Music, and the Eastman School of Music as well in New York.
And so you play, again, you were in...
Oh, I play viola, primarily was viola, but violin as well.
Violin and viola I understand you were with the San Francisco Symphony?
Yes.
How many
years? 28 years.
28 years, Seth. So you moved from the East Coast out here to join the symphony, or when did that happen?
Exactly, in 1981.
And you were a member for... Again,
28 years.
28 years. So you worked under some conductors, different conductors?
Quite a few, yeah. Well, I mean, the music directors were 3 different ones while I was there, but then the guest conductors, so yeah, hundreds, I guess. I don't know, dozens.
I was just thinking.
Haven't counted.
And you played viola?
In the symphony section, yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of years to play classical music and everything. I mean, I love the symphony because now you can do they play movies and you play live to the movies, right? You do the sound.
Mm-hmm,
Did you do that at that time?
Some of it. They've been doing more of it because it's popular and they need to sell tickets.
Right, and it was just great. I know I don't get to many of those concerts, and we have guest singers, and it's wonderful. And I just quickly want to turn to Jerry Pannone. Jerry, you are also a musician. We've worked many gigs together.
Many gigs, Kathy. Yes, we have.
He's a drummer and many other things, and a teacher. But I remember working many dance gigs with you. And how many years did we work together, do you think? Or how many years have you been a drummer?
I won't even go into that. I started when I was 7 or 8, I guess. And that was a long time. But I think we've probably worked together maybe 30 years.
I think so. And you also work with Margie Baker.
Margie Baker, yeah.
Back her a lot. Mm-hmm. And then you got involved in the project. We'll talk more about that. That's so wonderful. And over here we have Gianni, a student who is also part of the Harmony Project, San Francisco. All right, now we want to explain to everybody, what am I talking about? So Seth, tell me, what is, first of all, the Harmony Project San Francisco?
Okay. Well, about 7 years ago, I had retired from the symphony, or resigned. I actually had a nerve injury, and it was hard to keep playing all those millions of notes every day, and that was kind of too hard on the body. So I left the symphony, and I really wanted to do something for music education because I mean, Jerry can tell you more about the cuts that have occurred in public school music.
Yes.
But I really wanted to do something because I had been the beneficiary of just a terrific public school music education when I grew up.
Back east.
Yeah, and it was just, there were vigorous orchestras and bands, and there was just lessons, and I mean there was just a lot available through the public schools.
Is it still that way, do you think, back there?
It actually is pretty good
back
still,
east,
but not in California.
Thank you, Broadway. That's probably why. I would think some of
their property taxes are a lot higher. They never had Prop 13.
Okay.
That's part of it.
Shh. Don't say anything. Okay, that is very interesting. And there's an interest, I think, in that too. So what did you do then? You retired from the symphony and
Right. Well,
decided-
initially it was actually, there's this amazing program that actually began in Venezuela called El Sistema. And it involved millions of kids. It was started like in the 1970s. And they had eventually produced this world-class orchestra of young people from Venezuela. And they were touring the world. And that's how they got famous. And I heard about it and looked into it. And a friend of mine said, hey, you should start something like that around here.
Yes.
And there were already a few programs going in the United States like this. And so, yeah, the idea is to provide, intensive quality music education from a young age and sustain it. And it's like an after-school program so that you kind of get more the people who really want to do it, and they have to be committed to it.
So it's after school.
Yeah.
You started a program, and you go into the public schools and offer it in the San Francisco Bay Area?
Yeah. Well, so far we've just been in Daly City, but we are probably going to be adding some sites within the next year or two.
You are. So this is the project. Is it affiliated with any other? I mean, it's Harmony Project San Francisco, an entity by itself?
Well, actually, we're part of a national affiliation.
Oh, you are? And what is that?
Of the Harmony Project National. And it's they have about 10 different cities that have programs. And they're very focused on not strictly the music education, but what do you gain from a great music education?
Now, that's a good question. I have my own theory about that, too, because I think music is so important for young people. And I understand, I read your bio, you also had taught at the community center in San Francisco, the Music Community Center, where you must have had lots of young people.
Yeah, I did some teaching, and I also did some other volunteer, like mentoring, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and other things like that. So I was always interested in helping young people, and I figured, no better way for me to help them than by providing music education.
We happen to have an overview of the program, and I should take a look. And Jerry, you are part of the program because you are an advisor as well as...
Right.
Tell me exactly what is your role?
Well, Seth called me when he retired from the symphony. Coincidentally, I retired from the School of the Arts, which is now called Ruth Asawa School of the Arts, because she was an influence, a heavy influence in San Francisco for arts education, and they named the school after her. So it's now called Ruth Asawa San Francisco School of the Arts. Seth was volunteering to help us with the viola section back in '95. Then when he found out I retired in 2009, he asked me if I would give a little help with the Harmony Project. At that time it was El Sistema, then we switched to Harmony Project. So I had an educational background in curriculum, so we put together the curriculum for the first endeavor with it. And so I've been involved. Nowhere near as heavily as Seth. Seth's the director and has been there every moment.
He's a director, right?
Yeah, he's there all the time.
Big job.
So I kind of pop in once in a while.
But no, thank you to both of you. Now, I want to take a look then. We should show the audience the video that we have of the kind of an overview explaining what the project is. And I really encourage everybody out there to watch this because you probably know some children that should participate. And then we'll get to that, how that can happen. So are we ready for that video? It's an overview. Great.
Decades of cuts to music education in California have hurt low-income schools hardest. After a long, successful career in the San Francisco Symphony, Seth Mausner founded Harmony Project Bay Area to provide a high-quality music education to underserved children.
Learning viola and playing in youth orchestra made a big difference in my life. Over the years, it developed my focus, my self-esteem, and a sense of belonging to something valuable. That's what I want to share with these kids.
I have been dreaming for something like this because the school doesn't provide it.
Numerous research studies have shown the cognitive, social, and creative benefits of music education.
What I love about this music program, the way it's run, I'm so impressed. The teachers are first class.
Our Harmony Project affiliate in Los Angeles has a 15-year track record with dramatic increases in the high school graduation and college attendance rates of their students compared to youth from the same inner-city neighborhoods.
Tell me about the concert.
They're awesome. I'm gonna be.
Oh, that's fantastic, Seth. It really is great. I can see, that you really have done wonderful things and are continuing to do it. But how do children find out about the project? Now, let's say they go to a school in Pacific Heights, but it's a public school. Do you only offer this program to schools that have, in areas that you choose? What is the story
Well, yes,
here?
because it's all funded through donations and foundations and grants. So the only way to raise money is to go into schools and neighborhoods where there's no music education or very little provided, and that most of the parents really couldn't afford paying for private lessons and private youth orchestras and whatnot. So that's so foundations are interested in supporting these kinds of projects and helping. There's the whole focus of Harmony Project is like I say, the peripheral benefit, the other benefits that you get from studying music.
Oh, it's wonderful. But how do children sign up? Does the principal say, or the class teacher, or someone says at school, children, we have a program if you're interested in learning an instrument? I mean, how does this happen?
Well, yeah, usually we make a presentation to the.
Oh, you do.
When they have like the parent night, the parents come to the school and make a presentation, and then we also go into classrooms and demonstrate for the
that's
children.
great.
Usually we start them in third grade, so they're.
Oh, that's the age that usually they start.
Yeah,
that's a good age.
Typically the good age,
so they can hold an instrument too. I mean, if you're too little, right?
Yeah.
And what instruments do you start them on? What are the instruments? I saw many.
Well, I mean, we actually start earlier than that with a singing class, very high quality, like musicianship, a singing class, and we have taught also recorder to some of the younger children. But with the third graders and sometimes second graders as well, we start on violin or cello, because you can get smaller sized instruments.
And of course, you rent them, or they take them home to practice.
Eventually, they take them home. Yeah, no, it's completely free of charge to all the parents and to the school itself. It's all supported by donations.
That is great. That is so wonderful. And so, if people want to donate, I know the website is going to be flashed on the screen, so that's how people can donate, by going to the website.
That would be wonderful, yeah.
Okay, well, that's what I have here, that your website is harmonyprojectsf.org, so that would be great. All right, being an educator, I want to turn to Jerry here, because you have been an educator too, and what I want to know is, what do you think the benefits are of music for children? I notice it says they go on to college, or they find that these children graduate.
Yeah, and I think in the past, well, especially the past 20 years, we've found through all the brain research that's come out that music is really the only thing that kind of lights up the whole brain. There are different types of activities that kids do, which different portions of their brain will be stimulated. But music is pretty much the only activity which really influences the person's entire brain. It's everything you're doing. There's the literacy aspect of it in reading music.
Right.
There's the physical aspect in playing. And that transfers to the other things that, especially a child. The younger you can reach the child, the better off you are. And so it's a shame that, you know, we've lost so much of it in California, but we're doing what we can to bring it back, both in public school and in, you know, private projects like this. And Seth has done a tremendous job, especially in the respect that the after-school program is really intense, and it gives those kids a lot of time on the instrument with excellent teachers. But that focus, the discipline they receive, is fantastic for any activity, but especially the academic things, which, you know, we've done studies even with our own kids to show that their grade point averages have improved just from participating
It's amazing.
in harmony.
I have to tell, I second the motion here because I myself studied music. Now, I won't say, you know, I wasn't deep into the piano all the time, but I took lessons and I was exposed to music because when I grew up, my mother loved music, my aunt loved music. They all played the piano. And then was kind of the height of musical theater. And in our house, I heard all the musicals, Oklahoma, you know, all of the Rodgers and Hammerstein records were playing. And I would grow up with all those songs. I know all those lyrics. And today's young person has a limited, I'd say, source for going out to hear live music.
Right.
And when I was growing up, it wasn't that way. My mother could take me and my father to dinner at a restaurant, and most of the time in the restaurant there'd be a piano, and someone would be playing background piano, and maybe even with a singer, maybe even with a bass player, heaven forbid. No, I mean there was there were musicians actually working and playing, and your parents didn't have to buy a ticket, and it would be, you know, you could be young and it's just having dinner, and then pizza parlors. There was, you know, live music in pizza parlors. It just used to be a different thing, and I think today, let's face it, video and television and everything is at home, so why go out? Maybe that's one reason. But I do also have to say that my daughter was in the San Francisco Girls Chorus, and that was a wonderful outlet for her, because you're right about the focus, the discipline, whether it's an instrument. I mean, she studied piano, but she can read a score after being in the girls' chorus on, you know, stranded on an island. I mean, she can sight read. And that's a wonderful, you know, talent to have, right? Now that I'm focusing here on my youngest member of us tonight, Gianni. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
And how old are you?
I'm 14 now.
Fantastic. You're full of wisdom for us. Would you please tell me, what do you think of the program? Are you enjoying it?
Oh, I'm loving it so far. Yeah.
And when did you start playing an instrument, and what instrument? First of all, when?
Yeah. So in the 3rd grade, I don't remember which year, but in the 3rd grade I started playing the violin when I first joined the program, and it was a great experience.
And you decided to join the program with the encouragement of anybody in your family?
Well, it was mostly through the influence of myself. I've always loved seeing people play an instrument, so I always thought to myself, why not play myself? So something like that would really encourage me to find other things to do. It's something to waste time, but also spend quality time doing. Yeah, it's really fun.
So who in your family, was there anybody playing an instrument in your family growing up?
Not really. It was really just the experience of seeing a lot of things outside of my house. Not really. I don't think a lot of people in my family played a lot of instruments. It was just being exposed to a lot of music around me was very, very influential for me starting to play an instrument. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just thinking of outside of the house. You know, sometimes there are street musicians who are, you know, playing. I mean, it's true.
Definitely.
In downtown in San Francisco, thank goodness we still have some people that, you know, are street musicians.
Of course.
And everybody sees you, and that could be, you know, something, oh, wonder how that person is, you know, how I like that, you know, I like that sound, right?
Definitely.
And so do you practice now after school the same program, right?
Yep.
Every day, I mean, twice a week, once a week, what is the program?
Usually it's twice a week on Wednesdays and Saturdays, but we get a good 3 or so hours, 2.5 hours of exposure to music and practicing the music that Mr. Seth and our directors give us.
Good, that's wonderful. And how do your classmates feel? By what grade are you in?
Oh, so I'm in 8th grade now, yeah.
Oh, you'll be graduating this year.
Yeah, that's
And so what do your classmates think? There goes Seth again. He's, he's in the orchestra. It's something positive, right?
Definitely, yeah. It's something really positive. Since I'm in middle school, I don't think a lot of people know that I do play the violin. Since we do get exposed at an early age, which is an amazing thing. We get to in our elementary schools in 3rd grade, we get introduced to an instrument and we start to get to play. So not a lot of people in middle school get to see the same experience as those who started the program earlier. Yeah.
Right. So then that takes me to Seth. So Seth, you offer it when they're in grammar school, the lower grades, right? Mm-hmm. And then you hope that they'll stay with it?
Yes. We really would like the same students to stay until they graduate high school. So we
all the way through high school.
Yeah, we try to make it.
Oh, that's
wonderful.
wonderful.
I mean, that's the goal, and even to help them get into college, we're going to offer college essay tutoring and perhaps even modest scholarships. I think might be.
Well, how wonderful!
At some point,
that'll be wonderful.
Yeah.
So will you be making this a career? Maybe, perhaps.
Maybe it just depends on how much I work for it. Yeah.
Good for you. Oh, wouldn't this be wonderful? A student that would go on, and so far. Now, how long have you had this program in the Bay Area?
About seven and a half years. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's right. So he may be the first.
Yeah, I was one of the first.
Through.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's watch. I have a video of the middle school orchestra playing, and I don't know what middle school it was, but it was you know.
This was our group, right?
Yeah.
At what school?
Oh, we were actually performing at Jefferson High School, which is near where we on Mission Street in Daly City.
Great. Well, let's look at the video of the middle school. It's a concert, right? Wow, that's great. We had 2 selections there. I saw the middle school, right, orchestra, and then the beginners.
Yeah, it was a younger group. I think they were in 6th grade.
Yep.
And
6th
then
grade.
Was at the end, and then the older group was more 7th and 8th graders, I guess.
Wow, that is just great. I mean, now there. So just to go over this for those who are watching, there were violins and cellos.
Yeah.
And was there a drummer somewhere in there?
Well, that was one of the teachers was playing kind of the rhythm for that.
Okay, that's what it was. But primarily the instruments that you are teaching in these particular classes are string.
Yes,
Is that right?
Yes.
All right, string instruments. But that's great. Great for the ear and everything. So that's what I wanted to make sure. Now, the other thing was, well, getting back to the middle school, how many people in your class are part of the orchestra? Is just you?
Well, in my school, there are only a couple of kids who went to my elementary school where we had the program.
Oh, you started.
Yeah.
All right.
So
yeah.
I think there either might be one other kid or might be myself who's at my current middle school who's included with the program now.
Now, the other thing, when you mentioned Venezuela, such a country to mention because they're having a lot of problems, but they had a musical orchestra that was touring. You said a youth orchestra?
Oh my God, one of the best. They were called a youth orchestra, but they were really professional. One of the best orchestras in the world. That's how the program became famous.
That's really
that's how I
so
heard
great.
about it.
Well, that's great. I mean, I was thinking maybe you could tour. Take me along. Where are you going to go? No. Oh, and the other thing I have to tell you, you said you worked the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra, back to the symphony days. You backed Metallica on their concerts. Tell me about that really brief. See, it's not all stuffy here. I mean, Metallica.
That was great. I had never even heard of them, really, because I was just I knew certain rock groups, but they were after my, I knew the groups from the 60s and 70s. Yeah. Anyway, but they made arrangements of pieces so that the orchestra could play along with them.
How wonderful. And I know you can see it on YouTube out there. Those of you, we're not going to show a clip here, but if you go to YouTube and look up Metallica, the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra, and watch that clip, I was blown away. It was terrific. That was kind of exciting.
Yeah, they had huge, video set up because it was being, a DVD is being produced. So they had these big cameras on booms that would come around into your face, and then you'd see, and then they would have like a light show. So there would be like 25-foot flames shooting out of my head when I'm wearing we wore like
tails,
tuxedo,
Right, with tails, that's a kick.
And we had to wear headphones because the Metallica, they play so loud that you couldn't really you couldn't hear yourself. So we had, mics on our instruments, but I guess in order to hear the conductor talk to us, that we had headphones.
Wow.
So it was pretty wild. We had to he could talk to us while they were playing and tell us.
Well, it's so exciting. I know we have many stories between the three of you. I could just go on forever and talk about, but the main focus now tonight, everybody, is if you'd like to donate to this wonderful project, just remember that we're going to flash up the website again for harmonyprojectsf.org. harmonyprojectsf.org. So that's very important. If you want to be a guest on my show, please look at the information, contact the station. I'd love to have you on the show. I'm always pushing live music and theater arts. And thank you so much for being on the show. Seth, it was a pleasure to meet you. And Jerry Pannone, I'll see you at the next gig, hopefully. And thank you so much. And Gianni, thank you. And please keep live music alive.
Of course.
It was terrific.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mom, for coming.